Hero of the Rails was the third feature-length special to be based off of Thomas the Tank Engine, as well as the first Thomas feature-length special to be done with full CGI. And when I heard about it, I thought that it was going to be pretty bad, like considering it was going to be the first one to be done with CGI and not the models. But then after watching the first 10 minutes of the special, it actually had me glued to my seat for the rest of it. It was that good. I'll just build the story real quick before I tell you my opinion about it. Summer has once again come to Sodor, except this year Poshy Majackass here helps the Duke and Duchess of Botsford to construct their new summer house. And while helping the Duke and Duchess to construct their new summer house, he's being a complete pompous ass to all the engines as usual. Thomas challenges Spencer to a contest of strength one day, to take heavy cargo around the island. After Thomas's brakes fail after climbing a tall hill, he runs out of control through an overgrown abandoned line. And there he meets an old steam engine named Hero. He was abandoned years ago, and it was said that he used to be king of the railway, and he's worried that if the Fat Controller finds out about him, then he'll scrap him. So Thomas promises to keep his identity a secret. And the next day when Thomas goes to the steamworks to be repaired by Victor and Kevin, I don't really know how that actually works. I mean, I don't know how a steam engine and a crane can repair a steam engine. I mean, humans are supposed to do it, aren't they? Anyway, when Thomas goes to the steamworks to be repaired, he keeps his secret with Victor, who gives him permission to use parts. But the only downside is that Hero's hiding place is dangerously close to the Duke and Duchess's new summer house area. The following day, Thomas tells Percy about Hero and asks Percy to do his job while he helps Hero. Percy misplaces his own mail trucks and breaks down while doing Thomas's job, so Thomas sprints into the steamworks. When the Fat Controller finds out about this, he scolds Thomas by forcing him to do Percy's work. With nobody else to ask for help, Thomas tells the rest of the engines about Hero. They all work together to bring Hero new parts, distracting Spencer and keeping the operation secret from the Fat Controller while Thomas and Percy try to find the missing mail trucks. Hero makes friends with all the engines, but gradually grows homesick. On the day that the last necessary part for Hero is delivered, Spencer discovers Percy's mail trucks, only to be cornered by Thomas, James and Percy. The Fat Controller accuses Spencer of stealing the trucks and demands him to return them to Percy. Well, finally he gets his comeuppance. After the last few times he got his comeuppance. When Thomas and Hero wait for Percy with the last part, they hear Spencer's whistle and run. Spencer finds them and gives chase, but without the last part, Hero falls apart and is forced to stop. Spencer is suddenly distracted by Gordon whilst Thomas moves Hero to a new hiding place. The Duke and Duchess are seriously pissed off with Spencer for abandoning his own work, and Thomas asks to assist him, in order to keep his eye on Spencer and to gain the trust of the Fat Controller. When Thomas finally decides to tell the Fat Controller about Hero, so now he decides to tell the Fat Man about Hero? Don't you think it would have been a lot, easier if he just told him in the first place, like when he first found him? Wouldn't it have been easier then? It would have saved all the trouble we've had in this special. Spencer tries to stop him, thinking that Hero belongs in the smelter's yard, which is what they call the new scrapyard. And the rest of the film is just the engines trying to restore Hero before Spencer forces him to go to the smelter's yard, where he thinks he belongs. So yeah, you heard me saying that I thought this wasn't going to work since it was the first film done in CGI, but after watching the first 10 minutes of Spencer's survival, I actually thought that it was enjoyable. I especially like how they introduced Hero, a Japanese engine. I also like how they got a Japanese actor to voice Hero. And by the way, did you know that that's Professor Nemo from Robot Boy doing Hero's voice?
Go away! No trespassing!
And this was also the first time since Thomas and the Magic Railroad that individual actors were brought in to voice the engines. I'm not a huge fan of all the voice actors for the UK version, but they do a pretty good job. I mean, Ben Small does a great job as Thomas. He does sound youthful, like Thomas should be. And Michelangelo stayed on as narrator while Michael Brandon narrated it for the US. It was rumoured that Pierce Brosnan was meant to narrate this special along with The Great Discovery and Misty Island Rescue. But he didn't do it, so they just got Michelangelo and Michael Brandon to do it. I also really like Teresa Gallagher as Emily and Mavis. You may not know her, but she's done a lot of voice work for children's television shows. I can't really say what else she's been in besides the UK dub of the Mr. Men show, but you'd pretty much hear her voice in every single UK children's television show. Pretty much, yeah. She does a great job. I especially like how she does the Scottish accent for Emily, which is how she's supposed to sound. And the new characters are pretty interesting. Hero's got an interesting backstory. In fact, Hero's backstory kind of reminds me of Oliver's backstory. like an engine who's trying to escape from scrap. It's just very similar to Oliver. Victor and Kevin are pretty okay characters, but Kevin can get a little bit annoying at times. And I've seen both the US version and the UK version of this film, and you may remember that Miss Oliver Blossom said that Kevin is like Sodal's own Jerry Lewis. And watching the American version of it, I can see his point. He does sound a little bit like Jerry Lewis. In fact, he sounds so much like Jerry Lewis in the US version that they should have gotten Paul Rugg from Animaniacs to do his voice. You know, the guy who voiced Mr. Director in various Warner's cartoons. You know that guy, right?
Nice lady! A size 6 is too small for your fat foot. Don't with the hitting. I'll make it should fit. See, now that's funny.
And unlike the previous feature-length specials that had a number of songs, this special only had one song, titled Go Go Thomas, which I'll admit is pretty catchy. And you may remember my Thomascember review of Series 7 where I said that I didn't like Spencer because he was a pompous asshole who I'd seen a million times before. Well, this special actually is right for him to be the villain. I mean, he makes a really good villain for this special. A pompous asshole is just what this special needed. So yeah, I don't really hate Spencer. I've just seen characters like him a bajillion times before. But this feature-length special actually did require him to be the villain. I mean, he made a pretty good villain for this special. Especially how he says one particular line in the US version.
No one speaks to me like that.
I can't think why. And I also like the opening titles they had for this film. I mean, it wasn't showing any of the CGI engines or anything, it was basic 2D animation. But it did look really good. So overall, Hero of the Rails is a worth watching special. Though I wouldn't really watch it 100 times over and over again, but it's still better than that other special. So if you want a great special for Thomas the Tank Engine, then I'd definitely recommend this one. It might not be something that you'd want to watch 100 times over and over again, but it's still a really good special and I'd recommend it.